Welcome to our Getting the Most Out of Noteflight Learn webinar. Thank you so much for attending tonight. The plan is we're going to go through a few key functions of Noteflight Learn in more detail than we did in the last webinar, showing you actually how to set up assignments and the workings around all the pieces here and what we can do with it in the classroom. And then I'll be able to take questions at the end, and you can ask me anything you want about Noteflight or composing music with students or life in general. So, to begin, we're going to talk about 4 areas. First of all, we're going to talk about the score editor, which is the heart of Noteflight. When you have Noteflight Learn, every student and teacher has the ability to have an entire music notation product that's available on any device. Then we're going to talk about activity templates, how to actually set up and create activities and have students complete them. And I'll show you multiple views, both from a teacher and a student's perspective, so you see how these work and how they can be used in class to save you time. We're going to look at audio recording, how that can be used with activity to do performance assignments, as well as all the different settings and ways you could use audio recording in the classroom. And last, we're going to talk about some collaboration features, including how to set up and use groups inside Noteflight Learn. So to begin, let's go ahead and look at Noteflight Learn. So in your account, when you have a Noteflight Learn account, what you're getting is your own private URL where you and your students all log in. So this is the demo I'm using tonight, but it will be your school name, .sites.noteflight. This is where you and your students will log in, and everyone has an account and everyone's sharing in this own private URL. Now, the first thing is adding and removing students. So when you buy Noteflight Learn, you buy it for a particular number of users. So if you've paid for 100 users, you have the ability to create 100 accounts. You, of course, being one of them, so 99 additional accounts. To do that, you'll go into your group, and your first group is your entire site. And here, you'll simply add members to the list as you see fit. And again, you can copy and paste usernames. All you have to do is give your user a username. It can be first name, last name, a unique identifier. It can be numeric. It can be anything you'd like it to be. And you simply add. And now, this particular student, whose name is username, can log in to their school demo site and have access. So actually, let me show you how this works. Let's go to schooldemo.sites.noteflight, and let's see if that worked. So it's going to prompt me to create a password right away. So this is another great thing about it. When you assign your students accounts, you don't necessarily have to create passwords for all of them. You can, of course, do that, but you can also just let them set their own password when they log in for the first time. So now I am in this site as username, which would be my student, and now I have access to everything in here. So let's just keep this student sitting behind the scenes for now, and we'll go back and have this student complete some assignments very soon. So the next thing I want to talk about is the idea of creating an assignment or an activity for your students. Now that you have students and teachers set up with accounts, this is an example I showed last week of what a completed activity template looks like. In this case, I've created a score in my personal teacher account. You can see my face up here to know it's Teacher John talking now. And then I've shared it with my students as an activity template, allowing me to open up and see every student's completed assignment. And I'll go in. It's going to tell me I didn't save it last time, which is good. And then I can go ahead and see what Joan did, and I can see her work and whatnot as the teacher. So let's walk through setting that up for the first time. See, again, it's reminded me to actually save what I do, which is always a good thing. So I'm going to go back into my scores, and I'm going to create a new score called Activity Template. So let's go ahead and give this a title. Now, while we're on the editor, I do want to show that everything at the top, all the different notation icons are totally customizable. So if you go on the left menu, here are all the tools and various palettes you can use. So you can actually select which ones you want to see at the top. And as you notice, as I select or deselect certain tool palettes, they appear. So you can customize your top window as to what you want to see. For example, if you just want to focus on entering notes, rhythms, and pitches, you could just keep the duration and pitch palette open. Later you can go back and always add dynamic articulations, or you can choose to see everything at the top. It's totally customizable as to how you want to use Noteflight, which is great. And you can also walk students through this as well. So for younger students, just see the certain parameters they want to work with. So in this case, I'm just going to add some notes here. So let's start with a simple activity. I'm just going to type in with the keyboard. Of course, I can adjust duration here. And I'll go ahead and enter some notes. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what this would sound like. Maybe I'll make a change of it. So anyway, now let's go into text and quickly add a prompt. A prompt is a great way to give instructions. It gives you a full line in the score where you can type long list of instructions that will automatically format and not run into your subtitle or composer or whatnot. So we always say use a prompt and say look at the So we can give any number of instructions. Just another point on prompts is you can hit enter and you can paste as much information here as you want. So it is a great way. You can do full instructions, you can do step-by-step instructions in here for your students. However you want to list this out, you can give them all the steps and just go on for days if you want. And notice it'll all format for you. So prompts are a great way to do that. And let's just let it go back. Okay, so this is our activity we've created for students. Now, first of all, I'm going to save my score, and I'm actually going to go in and share this with a group of students. Now, when you share a score in your Noteflight Learn site, you have options. First of all, you can share it with all site members. This means any person, any student or teacher with a login to your school site can find this in the open scores of the site, and you'll have that selected here. You can also just send them, if you just click all site members and you send a student this URL or paste this into any sort of assignment feature you have online, students can click this link and go directly to this score. You can also share with a specific group or with an individual student. So in this case, I can look up my student name username, who I just created, and share just with that student. Or I could share this with my entire beginning band as a composition exercise. However you want to share it is perfectly fine. I'm actually going to do all of that so it's easy to get to. Now, very important, right now if I just share this, students will be able to view my score. I can of course let them comment or I can let them edit. So a good example of view, if I had a scale sheet that I wanted to share with students, I would say you can view it and you can print it, but I don't want you messing with it because I want you to keep it the way it is. Or you could do a collaborative composition and say the whole beginning band can edit this. That means any student can go in and edit and work on it. So you could create a group for collaborative composition exercises. But in this case, we're going to make it an activity template by selecting this right down here at the bottom right. So because of that, these settings all of a sudden don't matter as much because we're going to make it an activity template, meaning it's automatically going to create a copy of the assignment for any student that opens it. So I've selected this, and now I'm going to hit save. And now I've created an activity. So really, it's just writing out your score, giving instructions, and saving with students. Also, I encourage you to think of activity templates. They could be a completely blank score with instructions. You can have prompt melodies, but you don't have to. The beautiful thing is it allows you to keep everything organized. So now, let me switch over, and notice I'm my demo student. I am student user. So actually, I'm going to refresh my student user account because we're on the web, so we need to refresh. And notice there is a score shared with me, as well as a score shared with the entire site called Activity Template by John Malinzak, who happens to be my teacher. So I'm still my student. I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at this and say, oh, okay, let me complete this. And actually, and kids love 16 digits. So let's move this up to a D. Go back, make it a C. Perfect. And we'll slur into that last one. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so now I've completed this as student username. Your students go in, they complete the assignment, and they click Save. That's literally all they have to do. Now, let's go back over to Teacher John. I'm Teacher John here. Let me refresh my score. Notice immediately when I open the Connect panel, I have a template copy automatically. And now, as Teacher John, I'm going to view and say, who's done this? Oh, look, username has done this. My new student has completed this. So now I can go in and I can view exactly what that student just did. So again, as a student, all I did was complete it and hit Save. As a teacher, you can see every student's version. Now, you can do all sorts of things. You can go in and comment and say, great job, user. Or you can maybe even write some notes to the student. One really good way to write notes, if you go in the text palette, is to do something called an annotation. Because what this does is allow me to type a note here. Apparently I can't type and talk at the same time. And so there's a little note. This way, when I'm looking at it, the note's not right in my face, but I can always open the prompt and see a note right on a note. It's a note on a note. Imagine that. Or I can always just hit T and write text over anything. And that just positions, and we can, of course, move that text around however we want to do that. But generally, these annotations work really well because it lets you know there's a note right there, or there's comments on the left. So now, I'm Teacher John. I've made notes on my students' score and even given them stuff. I can even give them follow-up assignments here, but I can give them any comment they want. And now, let's go back over. I'm student user now. Next time student user opens up their score, they see, oh look, my teacher has given me a comment. Oh look, my teacher has given me a prompt. That's cool. So there's all sorts of things you can do here. Also, there's version history. So now I'm student user, and I'm going to add a couple more notes. Let me just save this. Let me go back to Teacher John. Now as Teacher John, I see those notes right away. And maybe I want to go and keep adding. I'll raise you these notes. So the point being is that now we have a version history, which is really, really useful. And we can look in the score menu, and there's a timeline. So you can see every saved version. This is really useful as a teacher because sometimes I'll go in and just correct my students' work and say, this is what it should look like, or try this melody here, or hey, I added 8 bars, let me know what you think. The student can go in and see my version. They can always revert back to their version. They can revert back to previous versions all the time. So we have this option here. So as a teacher, you can go in and say, hey, try this out, and the student can say, oh, cool. Now I want to go back to my version and work it out, or whatever you want to do. This is also great for collaborative scores because if 4, 5, 6, or 10 people are working on a score at the same time, you can always go back and see the version history and restore any version, and that's always saved. That version history is created every time someone hits save. So I actually tell my students to save thoughtfully. Make sure at the end of every session they save, because as a teacher, sometimes I want to see where they started at the beginning of class and where they ended up at the end of class, and that version history helps me. So That's using activity templates. As a teacher, you create any sort of assignment with instructions, and you simply, when you save it with students, I'm in the students copy, so I need to go back and go my personal copy. Again, this is my copy as a teacher because it's the unedited version. I simply create an activity and save it with students by selecting Make an Activity Template, and then every time a student opens it, you have all of their copies right here, and you have direct feedback with students. Now this also works really well for audio recording. So I'm now student user, and maybe my teacher wants me to audio record. In fact, let's tell them they should audio record. I'm teacher John here. Let me go in and say, can you record this? And sure, maybe they do want to record it. So now that's saved. Let me go back as student user and refresh. And my teacher has given me a comment that's asked me to record it. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to go into record mode. So in record mode, I now have the ability to audio record on Mac, PC, or Chromebook right into this activity. So this could be something I've composed, compose, and record it. This can be having a friend record the audio for you. This could be an etude or performance exercise or a sight reading example that I've used that I want to record and get feedback for performance assessment. In fact, it's a great activity to have students write sight reading for each other, because when students write their own sight reading activities, they really think about rhythm, they think about articulations, they think about dynamics, they think about all the elements of the music they're putting in, because they're putting that in to sort of trick each other up, but also forces them to think compositionally what they should be looking for in their own sight reading. So not only is it valuable to have students write sight reading for each other, but then you have them share and everyone records each other's sight reading. So again, 60 students all create an 8-measure sight reading example. Every student now has 59 other brand new sight reading examples to practice, and that's a great composition and performance exercise right in one. That's all possible with Noteflight Learn. So notice right now the part says Noteflight because it has Noteflight playback. Now I know on the webinar you can only hear the audio playing back from my computer into the mic, so it's not that great. It's just because we're on WebEx right now, but I assume you could hear just a little bit of it, so you know it is playing back. Now there are parts. There's a metronome and piano. There's also a little reverb you can add if you'd like to. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and start recording. Now, a couple great things about Noteflight recording. First of all, setup. Everyone knows with recording there's always something called latency, which is the difference in time of playback versus the time it takes the audio to go into a microphone and be recorded to a score. We actually, I think, have the simplest process here. So what you're going to do is we're going to check the microphone, and it's going to let us know if our microphone's in the right level. And if not, you can go in your computer settings or you're on your microphone and adjust it to get it in the right area. I'm just going to skip for now because I don't want to make any more loud noises in your ears. Now, this is a really important test. Now we're going to calibrate the audio timing for you. So what's going to happen is Noteflight's going to play a tone out of whatever speaker or headphone it may have, and then the microphone is going to listen for that, and we're going to measure how much time it takes for that tone to hit the microphone, and we're automatically going to adjust to sync up the recording and playback. So all you do is hit start. Simple as that. There's a bunch of calculations just happen in the background, but now everything is synced up, so the playback will perfectly align based on whatever microphone you're using. So that's the setup process. You only need to do that once, and if you change devices or change microphones or something, you may want to go ahead and set up again. From here, you can turn the metronome on and off. You can open and close your mixer panel. And you also have an option to mute parts while recording. By default, when you record this part, it's not going to play back because you might not want to hear what Noteflight's instruments are playing while you're recording. However, you can choose to turn this off where you will record along with the Noteflight instrument. So for example, if I do want to play along with this, or if I'm playing along with someone else's recording, I want to hear it while I'm playing. Or if I just want to play this and not hear anything but the metronome and record it, this is what I want to do. So the default is metronome on and audio off, but you can always switch that up. And again, the setup calibrations here, and also you have options for count-in measures. So you can choose one measure, or in a lot of cases, we know students may have their computer across the room, and may using this for recording, so you can always adjust the count-in measures higher if you have to hit record and then run over and do something else. So it's totally up to you. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like to make a recording. Again, I'm using my microphone for this webinar, so there's some funkiness that's going to happen that you'll never experience because you won't be doing a live webinar while having your computer record at the same time. But now we can listen to this. Da, 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 dun, 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 da, da, da. I'll spare you my singing. There's a reason I play trumpet and I don't sing. So you'll notice that the audio has synced right behind here. Let's actually do this again with the live playback. It's usually a better experience. So, and now it says my student username has made a recording. So let's actually have student username save their recording. They're happy with it. They're going to save. Because this is an activity template, notice that Teacher John, which I just switched over to, as soon as I refresh the page, I'm going to see that recording now exists. And I'm going to see that my student has a recording that I can listen to, and I can play back and hear my student's performance. Or, as Teacher John, why don't I just go ahead and record and maybe listen along to what they played, or give them real feedback. So in this case, I can select I want to hear username, and let's go ahead and record as the teacher. So there's a 2-measure counter now. Now as a teacher, I can even perform it for them, or I can give them feedback right now. I like to listen to student performances and talk to them and give them real live feedback, just as if they're listening to a judge's tape or something like that. So now notice John Malinzak has made a recording right here. So I'm going to save this. So we do 1 recording per user. Now of course you can try this over again. You can start in measure 3 and punch in. That's another really cool feature that you can do automatic punch-ins. So I can punch in this part right here, and then it shows, look, John Malinzak recorded in segments. So, and you see these brackets here indicate that I punched in this section. So you can tell if students punched in as well. And you can see our student username has recorded it all in one take. So now let me go ahead and save this. Now let's switch over, because I'm still using this activity template feature, and my student username, we're going to refresh their page, and they now see that their teacher, John Malinzak, has given a recording. So they can select, I want to hear Noteflight sound playback, I want to hear my recording, or I want to hear my teacher's recording. Now again, you could have an activity that you share with multiple students. In this case, you'd share a score and give multiple students editing privileges, and you could have as many students as you like all record. So I can even take an excerpt and send it to my clarinet group and have every clarinet player record it, and the students can go in and actually comment on each other's recording and give constructive feedback. This can be done with a group of students. This can be done one-on-one. It's however you set up the score. So for example, we're going to look at groups next, and this is exactly what I was getting into. So you can create as many groups as you like in your site. So your first group is always your entire site, and it's the name of your account. It matches school demo for here. But you can create groups for ensembles. You can create groups around a particular academic topic, like theory or composition exercises, or you can create groups for sections. So maybe I want to create a group of clarinets. In this case, when I create a group, all I do is I set up my group and I select the students that already have accounts in my site who may play clarinet. So in this case, we go and select students and say, okay, that's how you add students to a group. It's really easy, and you can always remove them if you'd like. So students can be in as many groups as you like them to, as can teachers. Now, with groups, you share scores. So in this case, I've shared all sorts of scores with my group. And as a teacher, I've shared this score. And in fact, because this is a clarinet scale, I've even given them a note about this dreaded crossing the break, and at some point in my life I told them to calm down and just press keys. So, I don't know where this comes from. But right hand down on that G, prepare for crossing the break. So you can use annotations for something like that. But in this case, I've given my clarinets the ability to view this only. But in this case, I could say they could all edit it. Now every student could go in and make their own recording, and we can each actually hear every student play this. Or if I want to make it an activity template and give them instructions to record it, I can do that as well. Now the great thing is you can always take a score and make a copy. So if you have something that you want to use or you want to create a separate activity, you don't have to rewrite it. You simply make a copy. I'm going to leave without saving my changes. And now I've created a copy of this. So you can rename it however you like, and you can also reshare it. I've created a copy so no one can access it. But maybe now I want to turn this into a recording exercise. So I can tell students to record the only scale you ever need. And in this case, I can put a prompt, which will be see the title, duh. Cool. So now students know what to do. I'm going to share this with my clarinets. You just kind of begin typing and it pulls up your group. And I'm going to say, you know what, everyone can edit it. Let's just have everyone record it. And it's that simple. So you can constantly copy scores and repurpose them for all sorts of things. And again, I always suggest never forget the efficiency and power of having students compose things for themselves, because it's actually valuable for students to learn to write out their scales and to learn to notate certain exercises. So you can have them notate the melody of a piece they're working on in class, which actually helps them understand the melodic shape and all the notes that go in and all the things around the notes, such like articulations, dynamics, and whatnot. Having them notate that is valuable, and then have them record it, have them maybe write harmony parts along with it. You could turn it into a composition or a performance exercise, all you want. So that is how we use 3 powerful features on top of our notation editor to make Noteflight Learn really ideal for performance assessment, for creating music, for music theory and composition, because you have this activity template idea where you can share assignments with students and access all the parts. You have audio recording to take any theory and composition exercise to the next level by having students record themselves or a friend play it. And you have this idea of groups where you can utilize any collection of students and any collection of groups to easily share scores with each other. Now, students in this site can all share scores with each other too. So always remember that every score has a connect panel where you can always share it around. So if you think about the type of exercises and assignments we can do, I love getting what I call getting the most mileage out of an activity, meaning compose something, now share it with a friend and have them compose 8 measures. Now take that score, make a copy of it, and have someone record it. And students can go in and they can find other members of the site and share it and have them record it. So students can create their own assignments, then they can share with a partner, and all of that's done inside of Noteflight Learn because every student has an account. Or you can pre-set up groups for student collaboration. Again, you can have unlimited groups. When students log in, they actually only see the groups to which they're assigned. So it's a lot easier. You're seeing everything right now, but remember, I'm going to go back in as my my student here. I'm student user. I only see school demo because I'm only part of the whole site right now. But if I go in and decide that school demo is going to be in choir, let's go ahead and add them to choir. I can actually search for their name up here. It's a lot easier than, oh, it's username is what I'm looking for. So I can just find my student real quick and say, okay, in choir. I think I did that. I might have been talking and accidentally deleted it while I was talking. Nope, it saw it because it's not. So now when we refresh, yep, now I'm user and I see myself in choir. So very easy there. And you can add, so now your students only see where they're assigned to, so it's a lot easier view in that case. So right now, just to review, Noteflight Learn gives you all of that functionality, the full editor. Every student can create unlimited scores on their own and just create music starting with templates or whatever. You can share assignments with students, you can have them audio record, you can put them in groups, and you can organize in any number of ways to do that. Right now, that functionality, I'm just going to go and review for everyone because this is a very common question. The pricing for Noteflight Learn for that is $69.
Here's how you can use Noteflight Learn.
Oh, there's a great video on the website if you haven't seen it yet. You can use Noteflight Learn is $69 for the first 10 users. So this is your private lesson account in this case. I'm going to go to the bottom of the Learn page.
Here's how you can use Noteflight Learn in your class.
I actually made the decision to autoplay that video and I'm regretting it now, but I think it's a great video. So it's $69 for 10 users and every additional user is only $2. So what this means is for private students or for private studios, you can start with 10 accounts, which would be of course you plus 9 other students or other teachers. Again, it's either or. And then every other additional user is only $2. So when you think about it, to give a student for 1 year a full music notation editor with the ability to record and to be able to assign activities and have every student account be their own digital portfolio that automatically saves all of their compositions and all of their performance assessments in one place with your written feedback, $2 I think is very fair. And you can simply purchase for the number of students that you may have in your school. We generally recommend one site per school because this URL would be for the school, and then you can use groups to divide students between classes, and again, multiple teachers could have accounts in the school site where the choir teacher would just control the choir class and choir groups, and the band teacher would core the band class and the band groups, orchestra or general music or whatever it is. Remember, students only see the groups to which they're assigned, so once you organize it, the students log in and they're good to go. So that's Noteflight Learn as it is today. Now, I'm going to share with you a sneak peek of a new feature that you're going to see very, very, very soon, which is content libraries. A lot of people ask us, this is all great, activity templates, performance, recording. Can I basically scan my choir octavo and put it in Noteflight Learn and share it with all my kids? Well, that's illegal, right? Uploading, you can of course upload your own music. If you have anything in any other notation file, you can upload it into Noteflight, but uploading copyright music is a copyright violation and sharing with others. So what we're doing is we're working with Hal Leonard and other publishers, giving you the ability to actually purchase subscriptions to the most popular content available. And so we have at launch band, choir, piano and guitar, and we have an orchestra library coming very soon. So this is a demo. This is not live. I'll repeat again. This is coming very soon, but this is a working demo of what you're about to see with Noteflight. The ability to additionally purchase content libraries for your students. Now, content libraries are $5 per user per year. And with that, you get unlimited access to every piece that's in the library that are constantly growing, and you can record with it, you can play along with it, you can edit it, you can adapt it, you can use it for arrangement assignments. You just can't print the content because it is copyright content, but you have unlimited digital access for $5 a user. So let's take a look at maybe what a choir library would look like, and this is actually the live content that will be in it. We have, we have lots. I think there's about 70 or 80 pieces at start, and it's going to keep growing and growing. We have multiple voicings of the same music, a lot of pop, even some Disney in here, a lot of contest music. We even have some different ways of sorting it. You can sort by pop and contest. You can sort by graded level. You can sort by voicing. You can even sort by key signature, and you can sort by score parts, the most used score parts in here. And you can also do keyword search, as well as search for various composers all within the library. So let's say I preview a piece of music. In this case, I have this content library. I can find this 3-part arrangement of Africa, arranged by the great Roger Emerson, and I can see and access the entire full score. And now what I will do as a teacher is, or a student, you can actually check out a copy. This makes your very own copy, and actually, so I'm going to go ahead and check out a copy. I've looked at the score and said, yes, this is the one I want to use with my students, or we're already singing this and I want them to have access to it. Every user that has access to this, I've now created my very own copy. Notice I can edit it, right? I can record along with it. I can select which parts I want to hear. So I can even go in the mixer and even select, you know what, I don't want to hear the alto part because I want to sing the alto part, but I want to hear the soprano or baritone. All of that's available right there, and it's your own score. As long as you're a member of the library, you have permission to use that. So the way this works, and I'll go back in and sort of show you. Yep, Noteflight is so good about reminding me that I never save anything I do. If I want to add a student to the choir library, I simply, actually, in this case, I am the role of a student in this particular role. So unfortunately, I can't show how to add a student, but it works very similar to a group. The teacher view, I'm actually logged in as a student in this demo account. The teacher will be able to go in and add students to a library, giving them access. Because again, it's $5 per user for content libraries, but students can just freely explore and sing along and play along or record along with any of this particular music. So we have, I think band is already pulled up. These are full concert band arrangements. So again, this is very new because what we're giving is the entire full band score. Now, students can also easily look at just their part and select which parts they want to see, but it's great that students can actually score study a little bit and understand how the first clarinet part may work with the second clarinet part. So in this case, if I play first clarinet, I may say I just want to view first clarinet, and bam, there's the part. Or maybe I want to look at it and view all three clarinet parts so I understand what's happening as I play along. So all of this is doable. Again, this is a full digital score, and I can record along and play along with this as it works. So that's content libraries in Noteflight Learn. Again, those are a separate purchase. They're completely optional, and they're $5 per user. I will point out with content libraries for Noteflight Learn that you do not have to buy content for every student. You can buy 120 users of Noteflight Learn where everyone gets editor, scores, templates, activities, and all of that. And at the same time, you may choose to buy 30 members of a choir library for your choir, or 40 members of a band library for your band. Content libraries will be available, should be by the end of August. We're putting the final touches on it. We're testing. It should be available by the end of August. As soon as it goes live, everyone will be able to see and preview all of the content, actually exactly how I'm viewing it now. You'll be able to preview and look at every score and search and sort through everything before you even buy it. So that's going to be really great.